All right, my name's Bosh. This is Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits, and today I want to do a studio tour kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is go around my equipment, everything I've got here quickly, and then we'll go back through each thing and I'll break it down with a bit of a close-up camera view of everything, how much it costs, where you can get it, cheaper options and things like that. The main purpose of this video is to kind of, I guess, explain to beginners what you can get away with having and what you do and don't need to start out producing. This setup is for a specific purpose. It's mainly for live dubbing. So when I'm producing, I don't really use these two too much. It's mostly just that when I'm in the studio, but I do use them occasionally. Anyway, I'm waffling. Let's just get into it. So first, I'm just going to grab this camera and we're going to go around the studio and see what all this equipment is and what it does. So this is my studio as I see it and sit at it. It's pretty simple, not much to it really, but I'm just going to go around sort of from the laptop and then out from the laptop to everything else and just give you a quick rundown of everything that I've got here, and then I've got the next part of the video where I'm going to go a bit more in depth into everything. So firstly, this laptop uses USB-C, if you can see that there. We've had to get a USB-A to USB-C converter, and that's this little thing here. Few quid on Amazon, I'll show you in the next bit, but it's literally just that to plug my USB hub in. And then next we go to the USB hub. This is the Anker 10-port hub. It's got 7 like USB ports for transfer and then 3 just for power and charging. We've got the sound card. It's the Sapphire Focusrite. It's the 18i8. That's the one. I knew it was one of them. And then that's my spring reverb as well. It's a bit mucky in there, but that's the only bit I couldn't really clean because it's a bit fiddly. So we got the sound card. The sound card is quite important because it just helps you run audio on your laptop. No matter how good your laptop is, you're still going to get better results with your processing using a sound card. There's loads on offer, loads out there. It doesn't have to be a Focusrite, although they do seem to be the most popular sort of lower budget ones. And this one in particular is slightly bigger because I wanted more inputs in there. Next, hard drive. Bit dusty there as well. But this is a 2 terabyte hard drive that I keep all my samples and things on, just to stop the computer getting bogged down with audio samples. Monitors, Yamaha HS80Ms, industry standard. I love them, I hate them at the same time. They're great, but they're fucking horrible. This gives me way more enhanced top end, which I'm still, after all these years, trying to figure out how to mix down with. I need to make tunes on these sound super tinny for them to sound regular on a normal system. It's fucking strange. And then this, we've got loads of bass, we've got loads of top, and then we're lacking in the middle. That's what it seems to be. So a lot of my older tunes sound a bit muffled and I'm just not happy with the mastering on them. And I think that's why. I think that's what it is. But I love these speakers as much as I hate them. And then we've got the Akai APC Ke25. Loops, keys, knobs. We've got, what headphones are we on here? Sony MDR V150s. Closed back. I don't like using headphones much, but I am getting more used to them, and it is helping with my mastering because I'm realising if I can make them sound better on these, then it should correct the problems that I have with mixing on those. And then we've got the Dub Reggae MIDI standard, really popular piece of kit. This, the Akai MIDI Miix. Slightly altered keys, knobs on here, but I'll show you that more in depth in a second. And then we've got the Naked Boards MC24, which is just a whole bunch of knobs. Over here, we've got just some mic stand off Amazon. I don't know what company it's from. It's probably some Chinese thing, I don't know. And then we've got the Purple Electrics. I think it's Purple Electrics. Let me just look at the thing, what it's called. That company. Yeah, I think it's Purple Electrics. And that's their PE57, which is like a knockoff SM57, and that does a pretty good job as well. So that's it. That's pretty much the rundown. Obviously, this is my stuff for making tutorials. That is the Microsoft HD 3000 webcam and just a ring light off Amazon or whatever. Tripod up there. And then I do have, if I close this is a subwoofer, and I'm missing one of the speakers here, but I've got these secondary speakers. Now, this is just a little Logitech laptop speaker system, so sub and 2 speakers, but I sometimes use that for referencing. So I'll play stuff on these speakers and then I'll try it on the smaller speakers with the sub and just try and get a nice balance between them so that it doesn't sound too different when I jump between them. So that's the setup as I use it in the studio. Next, I'm going to go through each bit of kit in a bit more detail. Alright, so first bit of kit I've got here is the Anker 10-port USB hub. It's powered, which is, as I've said, is, oh god, a bit mucky there. Essential if you don't want to have any sort of extra latency for any of your USB devices. So make sure you get a powered USB hub. This connection, you know what? I don't actually know what this is called, but I'll put it up on the screen there when I find out. So this has got 7 USB ports, and then the last 3 are just charger ports, like those IQ ports. So I've got 7 devices, and then I can power things like lights, or I don't know, anything I want to power. Sometimes I have a fan plugged into them. Anker is a brand I really love for electronics kind of stuff, chargers, cables, all that kind of thing. I just think they're a really solid brand. So yeah, that's that 10-port USB hub powered. So next from there, let's go to this, the Akai APC Ke25. This is one of, I reckon, the more sort of versatile pieces of kit that I've got. I haven't really done anything to this. None of the keys are particularly programmed in a certain way or anything like that. But these squares here, when you sort of plug it in by default, they all control loops, so you can trigger your loops and things using them. Obviously, your tracks across there, and then you know, each instrument going downwards, and then that's your stop button. These have got different functions. If you hold shift, they move the square on the on Ableton left and right, so there's like an 8-grid square that will appear on Ableton, a red square, and you can shift that up and down depending on where you want those to be active. These are stops, and then like say if you press shift, these have all got different functions. Same here, you can do shift and then select if you're changing the volume, the pan, the send, or the device on a certain channel, and these affect what the knobs do. So I standardly have these set to send, and then these automatically attach themselves to the third, I think it's the third send I have them set up to. So I'll press shift and then send, however many times. I think it might be 5, I might have it on 5th one actually. Yeah, so I'll press that 5 times, and then it means that these are set up to affect the 5th send that's set up in my session. These octave up and down, obviously play and pause, record, all these sort of standard stuff really. Keyboard as well. I usually have this set up with sound effects here, and then a couple of different sirens on these 2 keys. I've got more keys here that I can add stuff on. But yeah, that is an essential bit of kit, especially for my live setup. So I set all my different loops going here, effects, and then one of the sends. It uses standard, is that USB-B, I believe that is, or the printer cable, as it's more commonly known. And then it's got one of them security doodads as well. And that's it. Relatively light. It's plastic. Keys are, you know, it's not going to feel like a proper piano, but it definitely does the job. This is the Akai MIDI Miix. Now this is a super famous MIDI controller that people use for dub mixing. You'll see it all over the place. I know Alpha Stepper uses one of these in a lot of his street dub videos and things like that. This one, I've altered it slightly. So these two are the old keys, the old knobs, sorry, which are a little bit shorter. See if I can show you those there. So I'm looking at this through the camera. So yeah, they're a slightly different shape, and these control the speed of delays and certain things, whereas the rest of these all controls the same effect on each channel. The top is my standard delay. The middle is my delay with the LFO speed modulation on it, and then this is another big reverb all across here. But you can, like I say, you can see this knob, that is set up to a filter, and then these two are set up, like I say, for the speeds of various delays and things like that. This is, I'll link this button up to a tape stop or a record stop, so I can slow down, I can sort of do an end of a track, slow it right down there, like you would on a record. So that's how I've got that set up, and then obviously all your faders, you got it set up for 8 faders there. The master fader I use as a feedback control for one of the delays, so it doesn't have to be, this doesn't automatically map, you have to map it all yourself, and I've mapped to that to the feedback of a delay, so I can have it feedback for a really long time and get, you know, build up over time, or have it just a shorter delay. So that's the MIDI Miix. Again, a very prominent piece of kit that a lot of anyone who's doing MIDI and USB dubbing likely to have one of these, and if it's not this, it tends to be that Novation one as well. Let's see what we've got next now. This, I don't see many of these, I haven't seen many before. This is the Naked Boards MC24. and it's just 24 knobs. I've drawn these lines in across here because these show certain sections. So that's master sends or returns, an EQ, master EQ there, and then this is my 6th effect, which is this delay. It's like a really clangy metallic delay, so I've linked all them up as well. That's for one for each channel. And then these are 2, like, again, master effects. That's the grey reverb that just sort of fade to grey reverb on Ableton, and then that's called, I can't remember, it's some ion thing, and that's like a delay that filters off as well. So that's another thing I can use to sort of end tracks. But yeah, just more knobs basically. I've got these are not assigned yet, so I've still got 4 knobs to go. I don't think I've set them up anyway. If I did last time, I hadn't really properly practiced with them yet, so that'll be the next thing to do. That's the delay time of this delay, so I can speed it up or slow it down there. And again, runs on the same kind of thing. It's got a headphone output there, I think, or power, depends. I don't really know what that is. I have seen audio products powered with like a little mini jack, but then there's your USB-B, and it's got a little rubber feet on the bottom as well. So yeah, that's it. The naked board's MC24. And then finally, what powers everything, well, apart from the laptop, obviously, Focusrite Scara 18i8. Bit battered, but I've still got the plastic on, so we're good. Now, I used to use is it the 2i2, I think, or the 2i4, I'm not sure. I'm not good at remembering all the different things. But I needed to upgrade to this because I wanted to potentially have more live inputs for musicians. So it's got all these more inputs on the back, those inputs on the front there, and then you can control like the air and pad and instrument controls and options in the app or in the program. But yeah, it's good. I use these as a second output to a second set of speakers sometimes, or just use them as headphones. Standard. Ooh, nice knob there. Phantom power. Oh, I'll show you the back, why not? That's the back there again. This is powered, and then USB-C to USB-A I've got on there. MIDI out and in, which I've not got set up. And then just outputs, inputs and outputs. So that's it. That's pretty much what my studio and live setup are made of. I do also have this, which is in terribly dusty condition. It's a Spring, super mucky. Yeah, that's just a Spring box that I've put some stickers on. And I just use it. I don't run anything through it. I literally just have an output into the sound card. And then, oh, you can bang it. And it makes some pretty nice sounds. Alright, one more thing I thought I should feature, mic. So I used to use this. It's not an amazing mic, bit of weight to it, but nothing major. JTS TM929. I'm saying that like you might know what it is. I think it's just some random microphone, but it's got a bit of weight to it. It's not too bad. The sound is a bit not muffled, but it's missing a bit of the top side of things. I wanted to get something a little bit smaller because, as you can see, that's like your standard mic with a big round head, and it's a bit weighty. And I just wanted something a little bit smaller that I could throw in the box. So this is the PE57. It stands for Purple Electrics, and this is their version of an SM57. It's way cheaper. It's 29 quid. I think they're a UK company. I'll have to look into that. Omnidirectional, so you can speak through the side and in front as well, which is perfect for when I'm filming tutorials and things, because it means I can look at the camera from the side and still talk. But yeah, I really like this, and the sound is a massive improvement from the other one. And then I just got this off Amazon. I think that were a few quid. I'll put one up on screen. Just a little foam mic. You can put microphone foam, microphone muff, and that just goes on there like that. And that's what I use to record all my videos, apart from what I'm doing right now, obviously, because it's on screen. And I use that for all my live sets as well. It's just a little bit smaller, just a bit nicer to transport. So that's my studio. That's everything I use when I'm making music, when I'm playing music live as well. I just fit it all into a wooden box that I've built. Now, I'm going to go into a bit of other things you can use for music production and that, particularly if you're a beginner. But the first thing I want to say, the most important thing that I can recommend for anyone just starting out music is don't be scared to go on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Gumtree, Craigslist if you're in America, whatever your local marketplace or secondhand app is. Go on there for all your music kit. That sound card should be 350 quid. I got it for about,
I get it for 90 or 100 quid. I basically got it about a third of the price because I bought it secondhand. Barely been used, still had all the plastic on it. So I can't recommend that enough. Have a look online and get yourself some secondhand gear to start out with. Nothing worse than spending a load of money on equipment and then 5 months down the line realising you're not actually that keen on it and you've got to sell everything. Or you've gone in a bit over your head and everything's too advanced. So go secondhand, get yourself some second-hand equipment, and then you could get something that's usually more expensive. Instead of having to get a budget item, you can get a more expensive item for a bit cheaper. Maybe it'll fit in your budget. But speaking of budget items, the MIDI controllers section. Now, this one's got a few different functions on it, but that's because they're exactly the functions that I wanted. But you can get the Korg Nano Key, Nano Pad, and Nano Studio. And that's 3 MIDI controllers that are about the width of a laptop, really thin, really light. And each one of those is about, I think they're about 30, 35 quid each. Really good starting point for a MIDI controller. You don't need one. You can do it all on the keyboard. I know with Ableton as well, you can obviously use the computer keyboard as well, but it's not quite as good. So yeah, I'd recommend getting a keyboard at minimum, because with a keyboard you can do your drums as well. So if you wanted to make drums with a pad, you can do that on a keyboard. Get a drum pad a bit later. We're going to talk about speakers briefly. If you're going to spend money on anything, I would spend money on your output, so your speakers or your headphones. These are the HS8TMs. They're now called the HS8, but you can get smaller ones. I think they do a 5 that's scaled down, bit quieter, still just as good. Open back headphones are recommended apparently as well. I'm no headphone expert, but from what I know, open back headphones are supposed to be better. Now, this is because when you're making, especially music with a lot of bass is pressure. And if you've got your earphones enclosed, your headphones enclosed here, then you're going to be getting more air pressure as well as the original bass. So you're going to get like double the bass sound, really. It's going to create a false idea of how much bass is in your music. Open back ones are going to let some of that pressure out, but you're still going to hear the music, properly. So from that basis, I would try and get some open back studio headphones if you can. If not, just get some budget cheap ones from somewhere. Scrap it, innit? Just get some cheap stuff. But I think I'm going to leave it there for now. I've covered the sound card. I've covered the MIDI keyboards. All I can recommend is just getting started. Go for it. Get out there. Don't worry and try and build. Oh, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. Just get the cheapest stuff you can and start making music. Slowly you will realize what you need to make the kind of music that you make. This is perfect for what I make. Someone else might hate this setup. So get some cheap stuff and just get at it, really, until you figure out what you need. I'm going to leave it there, because otherwise I'll waffle and I'll probably repeat myself. I've probably already repeated myself quite a few times. Last thing, if you want to go check out my tutorials, they're all over on my YouTube channel. Go to scrapsaudio.com. You can find and buy the project files to go along with the tutorial videos. And then otherwise, check out all my socials. My name's Bosh. This has been Bosh's Beginner Bits Studio Breakdown Edition, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.